Hello class. I had some questions about accepting user input and whether we should include error checking in our code. So I just wanted to give you a quick example of how easy it is for us to do that. In our program here, we're working with the Gregorian calendar from chapter 13, and our instructions are to accept user input for the date and then print out the calendar based on the user input. So up here in my main, before I create my instance on my Gregorian calendar, I need to get some user input. And I'm going to start by creating an integer to hold a year. And I'm going to set up that year equal to the output from a method that I'm going to write. And I'm going to call that get user year. Now, while NetBeans is complaining to me about not having that, I'll run down and go ahead and get it created. It's going to return an integer, the integer that the user types in for their year. And I think an integer is big enough, but it seems to be okay. Now I'm going to start out with declaring an integer value to be the temporary holding place for this year within this method, and it's going to be called user year, and I'm going to set it equal to 0. And I'm going to go ahead and create a scanner, and I'm going to call it read IMP, and that's just going to be here for me. Now, in this method, I've done things a couple of different ways. So let's try it first, where instead of just declaring the scanner up here, I go ahead and instantiate it. I'll say scanner read input equals new scanner system. Not system, right? I make all these typos for you, so you'll know that it's okay to make them on your own. Now again, I'm going to go ahead and let NetBeans add that import in for me for the scanner object. And I am doing this for a specific reason. I want to show you how this is going to work if we only instantiate that scanner once. Now, I'm going to be asking my user for input, and I want to put that prompt within a loop. So I'm going to create a while loop that's going to be while true. Now, I'm going to put that embedded within a try catch block, so that if I have any errors from the input from my user, I'll catch it in my try catch block. So I'm going to use my scanner. Oops, wait, I don't want to do it that way. Hang on. I'm going to print out a prompt. Please enter a numeric year, colon, space. I don't need any args. Then I'm going to use my scanner to read in to my user year variable. And if everything's good and there's no canceling because of this not being a numeric value, I'm going to go ahead and return it to my caller. Now, I need to continue on with my catch. And so I'm going to say, hey, if there's any sort of exception, go ahead and catch it and call it E for me. And I'm going to go ahead and output a message to my user that this was not numeric. Non-numeric input. Now, let's see what we've got here. We've started out with our while loop, and it's a never-ending loop. Guess we're saying while things are true, we want to try. And we're going to try to give our user a prompt and read in an integer. If we're successful at reading in an integer, we're going to return that to our caller. If we are not, we're going to catch it as an exception. And in our exception processing, we're just going to output a message that says, hey, that's non-numeric input, and we'll be ready to continue with our while loop and try again. And we just want to keep trying to catch some good input that we can send back. Now let me check my curly brace is good. Everything looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and create some Javadoc for this method. And I'll do /**, press enter, and put in my information. Okay, so we'll just say in our comments that we're going to prompt for the year. Okay, we're ready to try it. Now, I want you to really notice that we're creating the instance of our scanner up here before we go into our loop, because things are not going to work quite the way we need them to. So let me show you what happens. I'm going to enter a non-numeric year, and it just goes crazy. So instead of catching my exception, it is catching it, we're getting the message, but it's just continuing in this while loop without ever having a chance to ask the user for input again. So what we can do to solve this problem is, instead of instantiating our scanner before we get into our while loop, we'll create an instance of it within our loop. So and I'll get rid of this one. Just leave the definition. So now I'm declaring the scanner once. So memory and resources are just being allocated. But then again, we are using a little bit more resources because we're implementing a new instance of that scanner every time we execute the while loop. Let's try it this way. I get my prompt, and I see my non-numeric input, and my new scanner is instantiated, and I get another prompt. Try it again. Same thing. Try again. Same thing. I'll go ahead and put in 2014. Now it's not going to matter at this point because we haven't done anything in our code to accept that year. So let's fix that. I'll go back up here. And when I implement or instantiate our calendar, we'll go ahead and use the year field. Now, when you are working with your program, you're going to go ahead and add a method to get the user's month and change the calendar implementation to use the year and the month that the user's requested. Let's make sure we're working here. I'll say that I want 2014, and I've given you a little bit of cleaning up to do for sure. I get that we're looking at February, because remember January is month 0, and I put in month 1, and see that it's don't have anything that's outputting our year. So I'll leave that to you, and I promise you that it is the right year, but it shouldn't be very difficult for you. I know you need to add that to the heading. Okay, so I hope this helps you to understand how it's easy to validate user input, and we can use our try-catch to do that and make sure that always we're getting the correct user input so that we don't have to have any sort of catastrophe catastrophic failures of our program. This should be some good code for you to have. Now, as I said, you've got a few things to clean up here, and I know a little bit of testing for you to do, but I think you've got this. Please let me know if you need some help, and I'll be around. Thanks.